the question first asked is, do we need to amend the Constitution, right? So now, we feel in the Senate that after passing the Public Services Act, hindi na po kailangan amendahan yung ating provision when it comes to economic amendments. Unfortunately, may pending case sa Supreme Court, marami pong nag-file. So anong nangyayari daw, maraming natatakot pumasok sa bansa dahil maski na meron na po tayong batas, wala pong TRO, but what if after 1 or 2 years, the Supreme Court declares it unconstitutional? And once the Supreme Court declares it unconstitutional, paano daw nila babalik sa 60-40 yung kanilang mga investments? So, may rason. No? May mga mabibigat din na rason. And that's why we are open with the leadership of the Senate. We had several meetings with the senators after. We are open to discussions on the amendment of the Constitution on these particular provisions. But we are going to do it separately, voting separately. And that is why we have prepared a resolution now signed by myself, Senator Lauren Legarda, and Senator Sani Angara on the economic provisions, amendments of the economic provisions of the Constitution. So with this, we had asked, the majority members had asked Senator Sani Angara to lead a subcommittee on the Committee on Constitutional Amendments to tackle this particular issue. We chose Senator Sani Angara kasi kailangan talaga natin dito ay abogado. So, with due respect, hindi ko pa nakakausap si Senator Robin Padilla. He's still abroad. But when he comes back, kakausapin po namin siya at magre-request po kami na kung pwede, para dito sa usapin na ito, we will ask a creation of a subcommittee for this purpose. So, just to make a long story short, we had a meeting, the chain of events that had happened. So, nakipag-meeting po ako kay Presidente nung Tuesday. And I raised the alarm about the People's Initiative. He was very gracious enough to meet with me, and we discussed how we can diffuse the situation. In fairness to the President, hindi niya po alam yung People's Initiative language was to diminish the powers of the Senate. And after that, he asked me to meet with the Speaker. We met with the Speaker. I met with him on Tuesday evening, after which we had lively and vigorous debate on the issue. And we all decided to meet with the President once again at 3 p.m. in Malacanang last Thursday. In that meeting, we were there early, so we met together with Senator Lauren Legarda, kasama po namin si Congressman Sandro Marcos, Sap Anton Lagdameo, and the Speaker and myself. In that meeting, we discussed the scenarios. And of course, I defended the position of the Senate na talagang malabo yan kasi as far as we're concerned, their plan is unconstitutional because we are a bicameral system of government. Kaya, nung pagkita po natin kay Presidente, we decided, the President, first of all, and I'd like to thank the President for his comment that the PI is too divisive, and even mentioned news items from the major networks that he watched the night before. At sabi, nagkakagulo na, bakit nagkakaganyan, may bayaran, and he even said na, and I thank the President for this, because he even said na, dati ako senador. Bilang dating senador, hindi din ako papayag na ma-undermine o ma-diminish ang kapangyarihan ng Senado sa pagdating ng usaping bicameralism or bicameral form of government. So maganda po ang direksyon ng Pangulo. And ang sabi niya sa akin at kay Speaker, sabi niya, why doesn't the Senate take the lead in the discussions of the economic provisions, and then you approve your version, which the House can adopt. So that was the position of the President. Para hindi na tayo maglalagay pa kung ano-ano pang mga amendments na sa tingin natin ay magagalit ang taong bayan. So, that was quite clear in the meeting, and that's why in the Van de Honor, medyo smiling na po kami ng Speaker of the House at ang Presidente ng Senado, because we were able to resolve that very big issue. That night, nag-meeting po kami with the senators. We had about 14 senators that met that night, and we discussed the possibilities. Nakuha ko naman po yung full support ng majority members of the Senate. We were also there. We also had a member of the minority there, Senator Rizzo Ontiveros. And of course, we said to her that we know their position, we will respect their position, but I'm being transparent. As the Senate President, I want to be transparent that these discussions will be taking place once the Senate resumes on January 22.
Sorry, isa pa. Sir, kasi ever since naman, di ba, divided yung Senate in terms of chacha. And parang kayo mismo nagsabi dati, sir, na pag pinush yan, hindi talaga yan mananalo dito sa Senate. But since kayo mismo, sir, yung may reso na, did you get the support of the 14 senators para pumasa po yung economic provisions chacha?
We got the support of all the senators that were there, except, of course, for the minority. The minority is non-committal. They have to see the amendments first. They want to participate in discussions and the debates. I'm talking about Senator Risa. She was the one who said na hindi, wala muna siyang may dadagdag. Although she was happy that that the discussions will be moving away from the plan of the PI na ikapon kami. Happy po silang lahat na ang sinabi ng Pangulo na dapat dito na tayo sa ganitong klaseng proseso. Hindi po yung sa gusto ng people.
SP, isundan ko lang yung kay Marlon. During that meeting, was there a commitment given by Speaker Romualdez na they will not support in any other way yung PI? Because according to Pirma, they are working on this, on the PI, in coordination with the Congress.
I no longer want to fight with my colleagues in Congress. 1 week po ako hindi nakakatulog. Kaya hindi rin ako nakakasagot sa inyo dahil may inaayos po tayong gusot, and we were able to get consensus from everyone, including the President. I think those questions about the Speaker should be asked to the Speaker.
Was there a, how can you guard the eventual proposal of other members of, for example, Senate, with respect to, kasi sabi nyo nga po, economic provision lang, pero syempre independent-minded naman ng mga senators, and some really want some political amendments.
Well, ang mangyayari dyan, my dear colleagues, when discussions on, for example, if you see the resolution that we will file today, nakapirma na kaming tatlo, if you see the resolution that we file today, it's limited to yung amendments to public services, as well as education, and as well as advertising. We got the guide from the President. I hope that the President will not be upset if I share this information. Pero si President mismo, ayaw niya ng lupa na ibigay sa foreigners. Siya mismo nagsabi, malabo yun. He said that, and I quote the President, "This will give us problems in our housing program. It will increase tax rates and it will increase prices of land in the Philippines." And even cited some countries kung saan na may foreign ownership na yung mga mismong locals ay hindi na po nakaka-afford ng lupa doon at lumalabas na. Kaya na nga nagkakaroon ng Asian hate dahil may mga areas like Vancouver, Toronto, in Canada, wherein a lot of Chinese, Hong Kong nationals pumunta doon, binili lahat ng property. Yung mga Canadians na original, na lumalabas na, hindi na.
Sir,
And even media, sabi niya, ayaw din niya ng media kasi kung may foreign ownership of media, baka mag-influence peddling pa yan dito on certain agendas. So ayaw din yan po yun. So we're limiting it, as far as the Senate is concerned, that Thursday night discussion, we're limiting it to the scope of the Public Services Act, education, because we feel, lahat po kami naniniwala, na bakit hindi makapasok ang Harvard dito, ang Yale, ang Stanford. Pwede naman sila mag-set up po ng eskwelahan dito. They do it in Singapore, they do it in other countries. So we should allow them para ang tumaas naman ang dekalidad ng ating edukasyon. And of course, we're limiting it to these three right now.
Sir, two more questions lang,
Yeah po.
sir.
Tapusin ko na lang si Sen, and then Ken.
Sorry, Marlon, sandali. Sir, so pumayag doon si Speaker na in the first place, aware si Speaker na merong ganitong resolution, and he agreed na in the end, at the end of the day, they will just vote according to your version, ganun po.
That was the agreement that we had made in Malacanang on the 11th of January at 4 p.m.
Sir, last question.
So yan yung agreement po namin, and I hope all parties will agree, and we thank the President for that, because ang totoo dyan talaga magkakaroon ng constitutional crisis. Hindi po talaga papayag. Alam mo, lahat ng mga kasamahan ko, atat na umatake. At sabi ko sa kanila, pag lumaban tayo, there's a point of no return. Kasi kung magkakainitan ng dugo ang House and Senate, paano natin maipapasa yung mga batas natin? Kung ayaw mo makipag-usap sa congressman, how do we do the BICAMs, the bicameral conferences? How do we do our LEDAC? Pagkakagulo, masyado mainit. So, ang talo dyan ang taong bayan. So, I had to keep a cooler head, and even if it was very difficult for me not to say anything about this issue, we wanted to find a win-win solution that would limit the impact in terms of a constitutional crisis with both houses of Congress.
Sir, one last question from my end. Is this going to be a priority? Is it going to be prioritized?
It will be a priority by the Senate as far as we're concerned. Only on economic provisions, napakaklaro yan, we will have public hearings, and in these public hearings, we will have debates. And as you said, kung meron man propose ng controversial dito sa Senado, term limits or removal of term limits or change of government, I'm sure the members of the committee, the subcommittee, or kung gusto ng ating mga kababayan, gawin natin na committee on the whole to be presided by myself and Senator Angara, we can put it on a vote. And obviously, 18 votes at each time. Sa committee level, para paglabas ng committee report, that was voted upon by 3/4 of the members, yung final committee report, and then we'll put it in plenary and make a vote on it again for 18 votes or for 3/4 vote. Well, I cannot predict what my colleagues would be saying, but I think the simpler the amendment, the easier to get 18 votes from my colleagues.
Sir, was there any discussion on political reforms? Particularly term limits, lifting of term limits, and then things of...
Wala naman. Wala naman. Kasama ni Pangulo, wala naman.
And by filing this resolution, SP, is it that an admission na may defect, may constitutional defect, yung amendment sa PSP?
Because my eyes were opened because we had a meeting with Frederick Go, yung kanyang officer, or the presidential assistant for his economic team. And we spoke also to several other businessmen. Natatakot sila. Kasi kaya nga maraming pledges, hindi pa natutuloy po yung pledges is because whenever they speak to their legal team here, yung mga Filipino lawyers, meron pang pending sa Supreme Court. So, sayang naman, no, napakasayang. Kung 1.1 trillion nga ang pledges ng mga dayuhan na mag-set up ng mga businesses dito, bakit naman natin sila atsapuera? Ay pupunta lamang yan sa Vietnam, pupunta lamang yan sa Thailand, sa iba't ibang bansa, kawawa naman ang Pilipinas. So, we listen to the pulse of the public and also the business sector para sa ganun ay makapasok talaga at magkaroon ng legacy and legacy projects and investments in the country.
Sir,
It is not, I'd like to say that iba kasi yung panahon noon, iba yung panahon na yun. I think when we passed the 1987 Constitution, it was not defective because at that time, all countries at that time were looking inward, di ba? Nationalistic ang tendency noon, nung 1980s. Ngayon po, globalized na yung economy natin. And by doing this, definitely erases all doubts na gusto po natin ng foreign investments na pumasok sa ating bansa.
And sir, with this resolution, malilimit lang sa talaga do sa education, economic, and wala na yung possibility na yung term extension. Kasi yun yung usual na
Suicide yun para sa amin. No one, wala, vehement ang objection ng mga kasama ko on this topic. So, we limit it to economic, as what we promised the President, we limit it to economic provisions, and we'll be discussing only economic provisions on this particular Senate resolution.